I talk to a spirit. She comes in my dreams.
What is the path to awakening supposed to look like? To feel like? How do you know if you are on it? We ask these very sacred and sometimes vulnerable questions to many different women from all walks of life. A conversation that needs to be shared and heard. I'm Jaali Hendy.
I'm Amanda Parker.
And welcome to the Girl Awakening podcast. Good morning, Amanda.
Oh, hello, sunshine.
Oh, that's beautiful. Considering I don't feel very sunshiny. I'm healing though.
You are healing, yes. And as we were joking a minute ago, experiencing all the ascension symptoms of these solar flares that are going on in the world.
Yeah.
And you can make a joke about it, but energetically stuff goes on, and we're not immune to anything.
Absolutely not. And I've been very conscious of the way I've been talking about it, because I want to say I'm so sick, but there's another part of me that goes, no, Jo, you're healing.
Yes.
You're just going through something.
And listening to your body and supporting that and doing what it feels right to go through the processes of healing.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, this is wild about energy, is that I've been working through it, as in physically doing my Sacred Sister project. So I worked Monday and I worked Tuesday, and both times felt amazing.
Yeah.
Throughout the work and then afterwards. So, it's funny where our energy goes when we're doing something for the greater good. Yes. We can step outside of that, the sickness or whatever, And then as soon as I left, I was like, ugh.
I know, I was wishing this morning that I'd gone to Eden with Narelle and Bali.
Oh, my goodness. That looked amazing.
It's another story. There's one next year, who knows?
Yes.
But this morning we've got a very beautiful guest in that is very close to both of our hearts, in particular yours.
Part of it.
Yes, still bits, fragments floating around your body of being. And our beautiful Jaali Hendy is gracefully allowed some time out of her busy schedule to come in and share a kind of what we're feeling like. It's a lot around where a lot of us are sitting at the moment. You know what's been going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a mum, welcome, Jaali.
Hello. Hi. Welcome in. Come in.
That was great. That was fine. As soon as you guys started talking to each other, I felt like I was not in this room anymore.
That happens.
You
with
guys
Amanda
just
and I.
fully zoned in. I was like, wow, I'd hate to be the third friend in this friendship.
Yeah, that's what happens on our morning walks. We literally...
It's incredible.
No one else exists.
That's exactly how it felt. I felt like I was floating above you watching that happen.
Come into the fold.
I'm here now.
Yes.
And while we were talking, Jaali was playing with the water cards and brought one for us.
Oh.
And I got receive your joy. I don't know which side of which means what, but it says all you desire has been granted, streaming in a divine flow to you.
Beautiful.
Which I keep getting that same message every day at the moment, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and there's a turtle on it, which is a sacred.
Yes.
The way the shells are.
Yep.
Who was it that told us about the number of segments
13
in the shells?
and then the 28, and it was all connected back to the. Is it the Gregorian calendar? No, it's
the Mayan, or the calendar that we should be following outside of the Gregorian calendar. The sacred timelines. But yes, isn't it? Everything is all about trust at the moment, and just holding that inner strength and joy in the moment. I feel like I'm constantly being challenged.
It's more testing now than ever, I think, but also the easiest to fall into in like two ways.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If you're with it, I guess.
Yeah. And it's so wild having Giles here as my daughter, because we can take the human aspect out, or the mother-daughter aspect out, and look at it as just two souls on a journey.
Yeah.
As we all are. But whenever I've had major changes in my world, Jaali's had major changes in her world. Completely different, but the same. And I think the last time we had Giles on, she was 19. She was in relationship, and she was about to go overseas to work with the relationship partner. And she's just come home after 2 years.
Hey, 18 months. 18 months.
Yeah. 18 months, yeah.
Wings are fully growing now.
Yeah.
Fully being.
So we thought we'd get you back in to talk about You know, what happened
All
in
the things
those
that have
How
happened.
was
Yeah.
that?
Oh
Let's start
God,
with the plane.
it would be easier to ask how wasn't it, because I felt like there was so much that happened. Which is so interesting, because I haven't felt like I could talk to anyone about it since being back, because it's so hard to like have another complete world away from the world the only world you've known. Do you know, like over there was, I mean, obviously moved over with my partner at the time.
Sorry, can you just for our listeners, where's over there?
Oh, Japan.
Yeah.
I moved to Japan.
Completely different culture as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I moved there without like any really much understanding of the language. I mean, I thought I did. And so I got there and I was like, I have no idea what anyone's saying. But that was beautiful in itself, because I got to learn a new language. But yeah, moved to Japan last December of 2022 with a partner that I had met 3 months prior to that, which is funny in itself, actually. Didn't even think twice about that, really. But we split up about, I think, after 5 months being there. So the remainder of my 13 months there, I was by myself, which was exactly how it was supposed to be in every way.
But tell us about that, when you first realised that.
Oh, God, it was... First realised that I was alone, or first realised that I needed to break up with my boyfriend?
Well, probably you were feeling alone when you realised you needed to break up.
Oh, it's actually funny. And Mum, I don't even know if I've spoken to you about this, but it actually began as soon as I took the plane over there.
Wow.
And I said goodbye to everyone, and we were on the plane. Oh God, I'm going to be so honest here, which I haven't admitted to anyone. But
I just love you.
can I swear on here?
Yes,
That's fine.
Yes.
He was being such a dickhead to the flight attendant when we were on the plane. Like it was.
I will be beeping that one out.
Bleep that one. That's
the
okay.
Star, when she said the star.
Yes,
Probably not that
exactly.
word, but yes, any other word.
Just bleep it.
Okay.
It's funny how that kind of behaviour is so, what's the word? It creates such an energy field, doesn't it?
Oh my
When you're
God.
witnessing somebody behaving who's in service to you,
Yeah.
being an asshole.
I think also for me, because my career has been in like hospitality
Yeah,
and serving
yeah.
people, and it takes you out. But I think,
even as a young girl,
oh my God,
Yes,
it's just,
you're
and I
never like
really
that.
pride
Yeah.
myself in being kind to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
I've grown up in a family like that. So the least attractive thing on planet Earth is when people can't show people basic respect. But I think that there's also a big part, it's like half that. And a lot of it also is like me being completely embarrassed. It's like an ego thing of like
Yeah.
other people, I'm associated with him,
Yeah.
you know, like, but yeah. And I think as soon as I saw that, which I had seen before, but chose to ignore. And then I realized that, oh no, now I'm actually with this person without anyone else.
Yeah.
And it's just me and him. I don't know anyone else in this country that I'm moving to. And I've chosen this as the person I want to be with. And I could not stop crying. Like literally, like sobbing my eyes out.
On the
And-
plane.
On the plane. And the worst part is I was in the middle. We were in the middle rows of this big plane. So there was another young guy next to me that was also moving for the season. And so I was like, we're wedged in between each other. And I was so embarrassed that I had a blanket over my head.
No, I shouldn't be laughing, but
We can laugh at it now.
Definitely a Sandra Bullock movie. I can see it now.
Oh my God. I seriously
Was
don't
your
think I
life
stopped
like-
crying for 2 hours.
because your life was just flashing before you.
Oh
like,
yeah,
what have I
it
done?
finally came to my senses
Yeah.
that I had done such a big
You had
thing
leaped.
with my life. At 19 years old, I
on
was
the plane, ready to go and live a life with this person that you're like, ah.
I like the way you said that you didn't have a buffer around you like your brothers or other friends and things like that. It's just
No.
this person now.
It's just this person. And yet I literally like sobbed and sobbed and sobbed for I
baby.
reckon maybe like 2.5 hours.
Wow.
And I couldn't stop. There was nothing. I couldn't stop it. And I think after that I was like, you know what? No, that's it. I blamed it on, oh, you've just left your family and you've left all this. But I don't think I ever really cried for missing my family. because I knew
You take them with you.
Yeah,
when you go.
I never felt distant from you guys
Yeah.
in any way. Even if we didn't talk for a while,
Yeah.
it was like I always knew you were there.
Yeah.
But then even after that, like we went and stayed with his family when we were in Japan before we moved to the place we're moving to, and he would be like hanging out with them, and I would sit in his room just bawling my eyes out, and I could never explain why. At the time, I didn't know why.
Yeah.
Because I thought, oh, I've just moved here and all this stuff, but it was like really intense crying too, like from my gut, you know, like kind of almost screaming crying. And I remember that all I wanted to do was call you mum, but I was like, I'm not going to call her because I'm going to freak her out.
She's going to be on the plane.
That's what I thought. And I was like, and I also had this part of my ego that was like, no, you've made this move.
Yeah.
You're going to be strong.
Yeah.
And you're not going to let anyone know how weak you are right now.
Like you think you've fucked up.
Which I hate to say, Mum, I think that's your energy field that latched onto me. I will not be a victim. I will not.
That's so funny.
Anywho.
It's intense though, isn't it? Because like you
yeah.
said at the time, when you have that intense emotion, you can't really attribute it to what's happening around you unless you get into a really big state of projecting out on that person in the next room.
Yeah, exactly.
And that isn't where you were sitting, was it?
No, 100% not. And I think even at that time, I was 19, so I had little ideas of what my intuition would tell me. I didn't realize that my intuition would be fully giving me a feeling that I was so blind to, you know, what it meant. And I mean, now I know, and I trust my intuition more than anything else, and know that a lot of the time I'm going to feel something before I know it.
Yeah.
But
Beautiful.
yeah, at the time I couldn't put those two things together. I think part of me did. I wanted to ignore that voice in my head, though.
Well, now, in hindsight is just such an amazing thing.
Oh,
we
yeah.
know that. And we've talked about this too, but I was just thinking how ironic that you're on the plane. Like, you cannot escape.
Literally. And you know what? It faced all of my fears as well, because I was surrounded by a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So many people. You know, you're on a plane and you're right next to...
You're
in a row. I seriously... And the
everybody's watching everybody.
Oh my
like
God.
on a plane, when somebody moves, gets up to go to the bathroom, everybody's looking at you.
Exactly.
You know, like you kind of try to be in your...
Yeah, especially when
you
you're
know,
crying.
So it's like,
and you're a young girl, everybody would be like... The energy that would be like, oh, I hope she's okay. You know, what's going on? Or, there's all that. Yeah.
And I even saying that, I thought at one point I was like, I'll go and get up and go to the bathroom, or just like walk somewhere else, so I'm not next to this man crying.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, but as soon as I walk back, everyone's going to see me. I have to face everyone on the entire plane. That's the worst idea ever.
They didn't bring my meal. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
That's
So
a big
meanwhile,
start.
was moving on. So you've seen that, which is so beautiful in itself. Like, that's been played out for you to go, wow, look where I am. Yeah, look where I am. How am I going to handle this? You know, what do I do now? I'm about to move to this country, because it's not his fault. That's just who he is.
You're on a journey,
Absolutely.
and each experiencing it in different ways. He was probably just like incredibly proud of, like, this is my girl. We're on the plane. We're going to my family. We're going to have adventure.
Oh yeah.
Probably in a totally different space.
And and he's played that out before many times.
Actually,
it's been okay.
I just don't think he was in that space at all, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think he actually was in a space of really blaming me for taking him back to that country.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. I think that was the problem with our relationship, is that for me, it was a big step forward in my journey.
Yeah.
And for him, he felt like it was a big step back.
Yeah.
Because he'd already been there and lived there, and like, you don't make a lot of money there.
Yeah.
And he was at that point in his male life of wanting to make lots of money and be successful.
Yeah.
And I was wanting to make no money and be free.
And experience things that are...
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's, so
How beautiful.
it didn't match up at all. And I think it took both of us out.
So you basically were there now for 5 months together?
Yeah. So we lived together in a snow town, and God, it was honestly probably the saddest 5 months of my entire life.
Yeah.
Crying didn't stop. And I'm not a crier.
No.
Not anymore. I feel like I haven't cried like that since then, which is now it's been over a year. But just so lonely. So, oh my God, so alone. I've never felt so alone.
Yeah.
And which is, you know, you hear that saying like, you know, you can be in a room full of people and feel the most alone you've ever felt.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how it was. I was surrounded by all of these new people and so many stories and things, but I didn't feel like myself. I felt like of course I didn't feel like myself because I wasn't admitting to myself how I felt, and I wasn't talking to my family, and I wasn't talking to my friends. And I was just really sad. So I didn't want to, like, even when I spoke to people, it just didn't feel, I felt like I was this facade of a person, which is why I never connected with anyone, because they couldn't connect with my, you know, picture I'd put up in front of them.
That's a powerful moment just right
It
there,
is.
isn't it? Really, you know, and probably a lot of us are living that way constantly.
You
You
know,
wanting
the
to have.
facade. Yeah. It's funny because I was just looking at a process to run with some high school girls the other day, the front cover, back cover thing.
Oh, yeah, great.
Which is really powerful, you know,
About
what we put out to the world and what we hide. It's a very powerful process, and it's just what you're talking about. Like we all have like a front cover or a shop front that we put up that we want the world to believe is us.
Yeah. And it takes so much away from you, which I didn't know, you know, because I feel like my whole life I've had my family to ground me, even when I went to school or other places, which we've spoken about in the last podcast, and I wasn't myself at all. But it was like I had my family to remind me of who I was when I came home, or, you know, to pluck away that entity I had over me that was, you know, hiding who I was.
Yeah.
But being in a place where you don't have that reminder for the first time in your life, and the only reminder you have is someone that is a reflection of the things you don't want to be.
Yeah.
It was like I had no escape. And
Well, I'm really respecting you in that moment just for really seeing all that, because that's a very powerful realization to actually see through and just I guess love who it is that you really are enough to just sit in all that aloneness and not kind of just do what a lot of us do, where we just party hard. I mean, you know, you probably were having some fun and all that kind of thing too, but, you know, trying to take ourselves out in other ways so we don't see that or want to feel that, because it's, you know, it is a lot of pain, a lot of emotion, there's a lot of honesty, rawness, and all the things that you're just saying. So, you know, to kind of hold space in amongst the facade for that to unravel as well, while these parts of you, these dualities are going on.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's it was all one. It was like 5 months of the universe punching me in the face with a bunch of lessons.
Yeah.
And
just subtly.
Oh, it was, one to the face, one to the ribs. It was like the universe was like, why don't, you know, let's just speed this up and give you a couple right now.
Yeah.
And then you can have a good, you know, year and a half of not having any. How about that? Let's just see how that goes. See how quick you can get out of this one, love. And it was, 100%. For starters, it was like, I had to be alone for the first time, because I've felt alone before in my life, like when I was going through stuff when I was younger, and I felt like I couldn't talk to my parents about it. But this part felt like, for the first time in my young adult life, I was actually alone, and I had to get through this one without my parents sitting and chatting me through everything, or without the feeling of protection from my older brothers, or without my big sister giving me advice. It was like, this time you got to take everything you've learned from home, bring it here, and help yourself.
Yeah.
And I think what I got so lost in is that my partner at the time was not happy. He was so upset.
Yeah.
And, you know, sorting through so much shit of his own life. And I just thought, I'm going to help him. I'm going to help him, and I'm going to fix him. And I wanted to be, you know, that person for him. But all it did was just push me further and further away from myself. And while I kept, you know, talking to myself like it was all okay, and, you know, like, I'll get him through this, and then, you know, everything's going to be better. I'm just, you know, feeding off him a little bit. I think I was so unaware of the fact that I was just giving all of myself away, because I didn't realize that I wasn't, I think my ego came into play and thought, you're fucking strong enough.
Yeah.
You've got enough love in you to give to everyone.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that I actually don't.
Well, I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions of all, is that when we're in it, for some reason we start to look outside of ourselves, not for the fulfillment, but feeling like we have to then fix everybody around us. But I think what's really occurring is this call, this higher self calling of help me.
Yeah.
But we ignore that, and we think that it's coming from outside of us, where we can't really help anybody, can we? Until we've,
No, it's like EK was telling me, my best friend EK, she was telling me a saying the other day, and it was like, you got to fill up your cup so much that it overflows into someone else's cup, and that's the only way to fill someone else's cup. Is to love yourself and be in your, you know, flow and alignment so much that, and it's so powerful that it just naturally brings everyone else with you, and, you know, helps them move forward.
Absolutely. I think we've been taught, though. Yeah. I think, you know, it's part of maybe another program. I don't know, but that, you know, you always look after everybody else around you.
Oh yeah.
First.
Oh
you know,
yeah.
Kind of thing. It's a weird one, but we're realizing now that we cannot.
The word selfish is a lie.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think also if you're, you know, like, I'll say if you're a healer, but I think all of us have an aspect of ourselves that are at different times of our lives, if not for some people the majority of our lives, what our calling is, or a bigger expression of ourselves, where you want to reach out to other people to help people. It's a part of your nature, but then that also can become a distraction from addressing the stuff within yourself, and you know, like, and it can be a safe place to be where you're over there helping someone as opposed to filling your cup.
100%.
Yeah.
It's actually really great that you guys said that, because I think something that I've been battling with since I broke up with my partner is that I found a part of myself that didn't want to do that anymore, didn't want to people please or give myself away to help someone else. And became in a way selfish, and I've never been like that. And I've really started to am I a bad person? Like there's moments where I'm like, no, I don't want to put my back out to help you actually. And I've been like, oh my God, I'm selfish. Like I don't want to help someone else. I don't want to, but it's not in that way. It's more so like I've finally realized that putting myself first is the most important thing. And the people who stick around and are still in my life, they're still going to love me. They're not going to see me any differently, because they're also doing that for themselves.
They're on the same terms.
Oh yeah.
So it's an equal
Playing
space.
100%.
Yeah.
And you can just ride your own things together, you know. Like I've got another best friend, Eve, who's doing the exact same thing I'm doing, but different. I've been doing snow life, and she's been doing boats and ocean life. And we barely talk because we're both so busy in our own lives, but we're both doing things purely for ourselves. And whenever we talk, it's like I talk to her and it's like this, oh my God, enlightening,
inspiring.
Oh my God. And that's exactly what we do for each other. And it's beautiful. And it's so nice to have a friendship like that. I mean, I've got lots of friendships like that, but it's nice to see, it's nice to talk to her about it, because it reminds me, oh my God, I'm not a selfish bitch for not constantly being there for everybody else, and, you know, loving myself and being there and doing what I want to do, because that's what makes, you know, my heart set on fire and my soul feel alive, and, you know, I feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose.
I think that's who we are becoming. I think that's more of the new earth. That's what I believe. I believe that, you know, first of all, there are no victims, you know, in that world. There's no victims. And that, you know, the more that we can become the best version of ourselves and find our true essence of who we choose to be, or what's been chosen for us, if we look at it that way, we become the inspiration for those around us. And people want to actually be in our space because it's not like they're sucking or drawing anything from you. They're feeling the true essence of who you are, and it's inspiring to them.
Yeah.
And I think that's who we need to become more of. I hate using
more
the word
honest.
being more selfish, but it is. That's exactly what the term we have to use for this 3D world is. You do have to be selfish.
I forget what the root of selfish is, but it's actually got quite a beautiful meaning. But
Right.
we've corrupted it.
Turned the word around.
Yeah. Because on the other side, on the opposing side of that, is just joy and more love, and there's more support. You know, we talk about being there for ourselves, and you know, but when we're filling ourselves up, we become so much more fuller for those around us.
And when we're fuller, when we feel that fulfillment, anything's possible. That energy you have then is amazing. And then you're also not seeking replacement things like, you know, cake, ciggies, you know, sugar, all this stuff, you know, those things that kind of like, I want to feel full.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's
You know,
part of the
it's
reason
so funny how
why
we play out.
I wanted to get Jaali on, because not only is she an inspiration to me, but she's just blowing my mind with when we have conversations now, and she tells me these things, and I'm like, oh my God, that's what we've been talking about.
I just sent you this.
You're an example of that.
Oh, I don't even know why I'm surprised with how aligned my world is right now. But everything we're talking about has been just coming up so recently for me.
Yeah.
And everything that's, all of this stuff is what I feel like I've really tapped into in the last year, especially. And even the whole... I watched this video last night randomly. I've been reading this book that I haven't put down. I think I read for 8 hours yesterday.
I love those
absolutely
days.
obsessed with it.
Yeah.
But I had to take my eyes away from a page for a minute. So I was like, I'm just going to go look on YouTube real quick. And this video came up, and it was this guy, and he was like, you know, you ever wonder why you reach for the like what you're saying, to feel full, the sweet relief, the, you know, little dopamine rush. You wonder why, and it's like, because you don't have, all of us, we're creatures of narrative. I think that's what he said. Creatures of a story. We want to have a story all the time. That's what we want. We need to have purpose.
Yeah.
And when we don't have purpose, or we don't have something that makes us feel in flow, or, you know, like, our life has something to it, we reach for things like cigarettes and cakes and sex and all these things to make us feel like we've got a bit of excitement in our life. And he was saying, if you want to give up the cigarettes, if you want that to be your last pack, don't go out and buy cigarette gum. Go out and find something that makes you feel alive, and something that you can follow every day, and something that gives you a story.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, that's like,
awesome.
that's so true, because a lot of time I used to reach for validation from guys, or drinking, or drugs, or cigarettes, or whatever it was. It was because I didn't have anything that made me feel like I was worthy in a way.
Yeah.
And now that I've tapped into this place of like, which is so simple too. It's not like it's hard. It was just doing what feels right to me all the time.
Yeah.
And surrounding myself with people that make me feel good and inspire me. It's now like that small little realization has just put me into this whole world of opportunity, and everything comes so easily, and nothing feels out of reach, and nothing feels like it's out of my ability. And it's like everything I want to learn, I will. And anyone I want to meet, I will.
I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go climb that mountain.
This is what happened when I spoke to her, right? I rang her one day, and it was like,
Epic.
yeah, it was epic. It was like, you know, a mother's dream. Not that I don't want to, you know, label
want
the
our
whole
children
thing.
to be happy,
We
full
want our
stop.
children to be happy, full stop. And I rang Giles this one day, and she said to me, Mum, I've worked something out. And I was so excited. I didn't know what was going to come out of her mouth next, but I was so excited. She said, you know, this whole beauty thing, you know, where beauty comes from the inside, you know, it's so simple, but it's so fucking true. She said, I've just been dressing how I want to dress, not worrying about, you know, who I'm impressing, or I just dressing how I want to feel.
Yeah.
And she said, and I'm, you know, my hair's messy, and I'm not putting makeup on, or whatever. It didn't matter whether she was putting it on, not putting it on, doing her hair, not doing her hair. She said, everything happens from the inside. And I was just listening to her, and I was like in tears, crying my eyes out. list out thinking, fuck, she's finally realised it, you know, like, and as she's saying it, I was awakening, it was awakening something in me too, you know, like, because I've been on the same journey in the last 2 years, realising that until you love yourself fully, you cannot love another person.
Oh,
fully.
yeah. And I used to think that was the biggest cliche ever.
Yes.
When someone would say, you can't, you got to love yourself first.
Yeah.
You got to love yourself first.
And
And I was like,
what is
crap.
it? It just,
Well, I think I've broken the mic.
No, I've got it. Yeah. I used to completely think that was a cliche. And now that I've been there, it is so true. And even now I feel like I love myself so much, more than I ever have in my entire life. But I'm not ready to love anyone still, you know? Like, I don't think I guess that's not where I'm at right now. But I also think beautiful. I'm still recovering from so much. Yeah. And there's so many little parts that still need to be, you know, healed.
Puttied.
Well, you've got you've got a lot of people in your life, so there's, you know, like, you've got interaction and connection, but it's beautiful to have that little bit of space around yourself where it's not a reflection from, you know, an intimate partner, it's a reflection of yourself that you're working with for a while.
I think it's funny because going back to the partner and the breakup, as soon as I decided that I wanted to actually break up with this person after 4 months of hell, really, there was just so much that happened. I don't even know if I want to talk about it because it's just a whole bunch of bullshit, really. Just like typical
acting out stuff.
You know, cheating and all the rest, and me being absolute crazy by the end of it. But I finally had a moment of reflection as I was like looking at my phone, crying my eyes out because I just had a couple nights of horrible fights with him, and I was like looking at my phone and I was like, I don't know who to call. I don't want to talk to anyone. No one knows anything. I hadn't spoken to anyone. No one I lived with, because I was hiding this whole big secret because I didn't want, because everyone loved this person and behind closed doors he was really nasty to me. But he was great at making everyone else love him, and I thought, I'm going to be that crazy bitch that says my boyfriend's an absolute asshole to me and no one realizes, because why would they believe me over him? I'm the one that hasn't gotten to know anyone. I'm the one that's been hiding in my room every night instead of going out. And so I had this realization of like, oh, okay, I felt really alone because I am alone. I haven't really told anyone what's going on, and I don't want to be like this anymore, and I don't want to look at myself in the mirror, and I felt so ugly. And I hated who I'd become, because I'd become this crazy bitch who would go through his phone, and I was so self-conscious of any woman that would even talk to him. And I was like, oh God, this is a horrible feeling. I'm jealous all the time. I feel ugly on the outside and the inside. I've come to this country to learn more about myself and to explore a different place.
Hello.
And all I've done, and all I've done is sat in this room and felt sorry for myself for the last 3 months. I was like, this is not me. And I remember like feeling this rise inside of me, like this feminine rage almost, that was like, no man will make me feel like this ever again.
Goddess, just go.
And it was, the little girl inside of me was like, no, this is not you. You're going to stand up and you're going to do better. And I think, like, literally the next day I was at work, the word Southeast Asia popped into my head. I don't think I've ever thought about going backpacking before in my life. I never thought I'd backpack.
Who does these days, but it does. Heaven.
I didn't really know what it was, actually. I just thought it was like a bunch of dirty hippies.
How can you travel with just a backpack? That doesn't seem enough.
Dirty hippies.
That's what you are. What are you talking about?
I know. That's the funniest part about it. I got there and I was like, I'm a dirty hippie. I fit in so well here. And then, I literally was like, you know what? I'm actually not, because my partner, my ex-boyfriend, he was planning to go back to Australia to make money again because he was absolutely so obsessed that he wasn't an alpha male at home with a business and a house.
It's so wild though, because I just want to stop right there.
Yeah.
It's so, like, I'm just listening to it all, and I have heard it all, but it's so amazing. We talk about this all the time, that everything's happening for us.
Oh, yeah.
Like, everything, like, from that moment on the plane, right? That was your opportunity then. If you were really tuned in, you would have been, okay, I need to end this right here and now.
Well, that's the thing, like in the movies, that we all kind of go, not again. As soon as there's a wedding scene in the movie and you can see that they've gone conflict, you're going to go, they spend $100,000 on a wedding, and one of them's going to walk out on the day, and it's all going to be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're on a plane.
Absolutely.
Do I say I want you to get a return ticket, or I'm going to get a return ticket, or and as soon as we land, this is
There's so many things.
There's so many things that just logically don't compute, but are so right.
Absolutely. But there was an opportunity, and it didn't happen.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So the universe goes, okay, I put that in your lap. You didn't take it. Okay, I offered you something, both of you something. You didn't take it. Now we're going to the next layer.
Yeah.
It's like I love when you can look back and pull things apart.
Oh, 100%.
How you can see the universe is delivering what you need.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't action it, then it will just go to the next lesson. So for you, it was finding the self-love.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And even so
And
many
even
little
for him,
things
there was
inside
something
that.
happening too.
Yeah.
That was perfect for him.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, for him, in a lot of ways, I think his was self-love too. I don't think he realised that at the time.
Yeah.
But he had no love for himself,
Yeah.
which is why I was giving him
You
all
were
of
trying to
mine.
feel it, yeah. And also, it's almost like you love each other enough that you're going to try to work it out.
Yeah.
But then you end up sabotaging it in some way
Oh, yeah.
to make the other person say "fuck off."
Yeah.
Or
Seriously.
it's like you end up doing ugly things kind of thing. It's kind of it's a weird kind of love.
It is.
We
Weird
often
and
live.
unique. I mean, I was living in Japan at 19 with a guy I met 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know
But it's
how
all
any
perfect.
19-year-old's supposed to navigate that,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think when
You
I
were
came
willing.
to that realization that I felt ugly and all that. And,
Yeah.
he went back to Australia and I decided I'm going to stay in Japan. And then I booked a one-way flight to Thailand and was like, I'm backpacking Southeast Asia. And then eventually convinced my best mate, EK, to come along too. Which was funny because
perfect.
she broke up with her boyfriend
Yes.
as well to come. And God, did we have the best time ever. But I think
Amazing.
after that, I...
Healed those wounds a little bit.
Oh yeah, I just came to this like moment with myself where I was like, I think what I didn't realize was prior to this time and prior to this relationship, I based all of my self-value off of my looks.
Yeah.
And as much as I've always, had appreciation for who I am on the inside, I've never loved myself because of who I am on the inside. I love myself because people thought I was attractive.
Yeah.
And because I had long legs and all, all
Yes.
this materialistic stuff that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I think I went, oh, okay. So that's how easily my self-love can be stripped away when it's based on something
Physical.
that will eventually get stripped away. One day I'm not going to look like this anymore. No wonder I've got such a weak sense of self-love. It's because this is not a real thing. This is not...
Why those wrinkles freak us out so much?
Yeah.
And then we go and deal with those somehow. But
Oh, 100%. And so and it's funny because...
That's a really big...
It's a big one.
That's a big one. We have to hold this moment for a moment because this is really huge for a 19, 20-year-old girl to have that realization. I just wish for all girls to have that realization,
Yes.
because especially on the Gold Coast, oh my goodness, we are so caught in a world of hurt
Yeah.
when it comes to
Seeing
looks,
ourselves.
seeing ourselves.
Yeah.
And how is that going to play out in the future, It's a powerful thing that you're talking about. you know?
Yeah, it is. It is actually. You're so right, and I think it's funny how these energies are different. In like the women that I was surrounding myself with, where I was living in Japan, all had that realization with the same as me, whether it was just at the same time or before. But I was surrounded by a bunch of women that loved doing things and learning and being creative. And they weren't, it was never about how we looked. I never felt like any of us compared ourselves to each other. So it was like this perfect harmony of me having this realization and then meeting this bunch of girls who were incredibly confident in who they were as women and didn't, reflect this nasty feeling of not
Why
good
are you wearing
enough.
that today?
Yeah, exactly. That really, because they were all older than me too, all in their late 20s, mid 20s, late 20s. And it was like this feminine, beautiful mother nature of coming through the, hands of these young women, just being like, oh yeah, that's so true, isn't it so true? Like, I'm so glad you're realizing this. And like, I just started realizing that I saw these women and they were like, they had all these hobbies and all these things. Like, we all love to crochet. That's the thing.
I just was waiting for that to come out.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for my beanie, by the way.
It's coming.
Can I just ask quickly?
Yeah.
How long was it between you and your ex separating and him moving back?
Yeah.
And then you meeting this group of women? Like, was there a time in between there? Like, was there a decision that you made or a realization that you had that all of a sudden something popped, something shifted inside of you, and all of a sudden, bam, there was these women here?
Was that like kind of when you started showing people more of yourself?
More of you?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
so in this to give a bit of perspective, where we were living, it's like, because it's a snow town, you've got tens of thousands of people from December till March, and then after that, nobody.
Yes.
So when he left was right at that time where everyone was leaving.
Yeah.
And so it was only the people that were staying for the summer, who there was about probably 15 of us as foreigners, and the rest is Japanese.
Yeah.
Stayed. So right after that, I think I was heartbroken at the same time, because I had lost the only person that I felt connected to, even though I wasn't connected to him at the same time. And yeah, and also this big freeing feeling off my shoulders of, okay, this is where it begins now. You know, like you've made the decision. This is the fun part about this, is we get to learn what you're going to learn from the decision you've made.
Yeah.
Which is to love yourself again and to explore and to feel and to be free. And so
that was the decision you made.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I think I was kind of going for. So because I think, you know, just in saying that for our listeners too, and for us listening, a decision is a powerful thing, because a decision is where we're putting something out to the universe. Yeah. And the universe will always deliver if we're asking, you know, and that's where a powerful decision starts. That's why I think I wanted to ask that question.
Yeah. Well, I think I had briefly met those girls the month before I left for Southeast Asia.
Okay.
But at that time, it was a lot of hanging out with, like, who became one of my best friends, Paul Curry. If he listens to this, he'll love that I mentioned him.
Paulie.
He's an absolute,
Paul. We love you,
we call him
Paulie.
Puppy. Puppy absolutely looked after me.
Yeah.
He's hitting 30 now.
Yeah.
And being a
Mature.
beautiful Scottish man. Like, seriously. He was like a big brother to me, and so just loving. I just had to mention him quickly.
It's funny how the angels appear when they need
Oh
to.
my God, he was just so good.
Yeah.
And also such a reminder of, like, he would just constantly remind me how much he loved me and how cool I was and how he thought I was the coolest 21-year-old. You know, he was, awesome.
I love
so
people who are abundant like that, just in recognising others. It's just free.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? He was also, I think, the person that rubbed off on me the most of, he looked after himself first, but he was still the most giving and caring person that I had met. But he put himself first always. Yeah. You know, and he didn't let people walk all over him or disrespect him, but he gave so much love to those that, you know, did respect him. Yeah. And did put their hand out for him too. And it was like, I looked at him and I was like, that's how I want to be, because he was so respected, yet so caring and loving and, you know, protective of his own energy, yet giving it away so easily without affecting himself at the same time.
Well, that's the power of exchange, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the power of exchange.
Yeah.
True.
It's like there's no you know,
Imbalance.
more. Yeah. It's just a beautiful. It's like that movie, the Celestine Prophecy, where she's trying to teach him the giving and receiving, and the two people are sitting there and they're seeing the love go between their hearts. That's what I'm talking about. It's that exchange.
Isn't that the most powerful thing of it all?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, if you feel like, in your idea of what the world is, if you feel like we are all one, then isn't that the most, it's like we're finally gluing back together, as, you know, one part of this oneness when we connect like that. Yeah. And when we have that exchange. Yeah. When when you're like even engulfed in such a beautiful, you know, high vibrational conversation with someone, and it's the highest dopamine rush you've ever had in your life.
It's the best.
And you're like, oh my God, that's what it's all about. I'm having the best time right now. I never want this to end. It's like you've got this exchange of energy and honesty and vulnerability with someone.
And realizations and
oh my God, and
expansion.
and everything else falls away.
Yeah.
All the other bullshit, the ego and the need to be right or prove yourself or show that you're smart.
There's no time. There's no time.
It's the best.
Yes.
And it's times like that where it's like pure connection and pure, like you said, exchange with someone without any like bad intention and just pure love and light being transmuted with someone.
Yes.
It's incredible. There's nothing that matches it.
Yeah.
And you realise when you have those conversations and you walk away and then you have another conversation, how so many conversations are often being steered in a certain direction because of one person's energy field or intention around the things. And, you know, often we're in that space of like, you know, the conversations aren't happening spontaneous, you know, the connection is there in a controlled way or a, you know, a gaining kind of way, out of balance way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But when it's a pure exchange,
it's just just even you hear you talk about it, you start feeling like this.
But even the synchronicities start to open, like then you leave from that conversation, that beautiful, powerful expansion, and you leave, and the synchronicities and the little gifts and everything, the whole world starts opening up.
Oh yeah.
Butterflies.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. And I think it's crazy how simple it all becomes.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, I'm only 21, right? So I think I'm sure it'll get a bit more complex when I get to my next stages of this awakening in a way.
It may. It may not.
We never know.
We never know.
But I think I was so busy trying to overcomplicate everything and explain everything down to a T and, you know, get into these depths until it was like the thing that really saved me in a way, I would say, is that I just went, you know what, I just want to live a simple life, and I just want to feel love and give love and learn. And that was my biggest thing. I was like, I just want to learn new things. I want to build this thing inside of me where I feel knowledgeable and abundant of, you know, all of these things and things that I can talk about and ways that I can express myself in healthy ways, like creative ways. And so I would read more, and I studied up on my Japanese, and I learned how to crochet, and I started walking and cooking all the time. And it was like I just started finding all of these creative outlets that helped me feel abundant in myself. And it's funny because I felt like as I was doing that, I started to, the way I looked changed in that moment.
Beautiful.
Because I let go of so much, and I became a much more natural version of myself. And I didn't care. I didn't care for the first time because this realization came up inside of me, which now I'm just so grateful to carry, is that it doesn't matter if someone doesn't like me or doesn't think I'm attractive or any of that, because I know who I am and I'm proud of who I am and I love myself, that it's their loss. Like that, or I'm not connected to them, and that's okay. There's someone that is connected to them, and there's someone that's connected to me, and it's not a reflection of who I am or my beauty or my, you know, substance or any of that. It's like not everyone is meant for me, and it's not a reflection of me. And like that's a big thing for me to carry, because I used to want everyone to love me and like me,
The people pleaser.
and I'd put myself out to make sure that people thought that I was good enough. Do you know what I mean? But now it's like I can sit by myself for hours or weeks, and I did a lot in Japan, and love my own company, and I just don't feel like I need anybody. And so if people come, then they come. But I'm not searching for them anymore to make myself feel better.
Yeah, you did the full zen. You did the being in that Japanese soil. But what I'm hearing too, deeper than the people pleaser, is that where you're anchoring into belonging. Because, you know, I feel like the people pleaser is up here still, but, you know, like the belongingness, not, you know, knowing that you're here for purpose. Is taking form, and, you know, that really being present in your own space and knowing that that's contributing something, anything, and it doesn't matter what it is, but you're contributing yourself. And your colours are in that, not, you don't need to create other,
exactly.
That's really cool.
It's a
I love it.
Yeah, it's just, I think I'm now, after all of this time, the last year and a half, and all of these moments, so many moments of just utter joy, literally felt like it was coming out of my ears, of feeling like, oh my God, this is what it's all about, and I'm here and I'm feeling it, just like, this is better than every drug I've ever taken, like, oh my God, sitting on mountainsides and looking at sunsets and feeling this like, holy fuck, this is what it's about, and so
Bliss.
oh my God. And I remember it's actually funny. Wait, I wrote something in my phone. Can I look at my phone?
Yes, absolutely.
I wrote something in my phone because last year I came back in, I think, October.
Yeah, for a week.
I came back for a week to visit family, and I was on the flight back and I was having a cry because I at this time I'd just come back from Southeast Asia. I'd met this beautiful group of women. I'd started crocheting and all of these things, and I was really coming into myself. And I came home and there was a lot of shit going on. There was so much shit going on, and I just was so upset. I was so upset because I was like, oh fuck, the last 5 months or 6 months, I've been feeling so free and so connected, and like, oh my God, me and my higher self, we're holding hand in hand, walking around going, oh, look at this. Oh, look at that. You can go do that too. And you can talk to that person. And oh my God, you can do this and you can do this. And the fucking world's your oyster. Like finally having that realization. And I'm like, oh my God, this is what it's all about. And it was so simple.
Yeah.
All I had to do was let go and just be for myself and let go of all of these expectations and have some time alone and just not be constantly searching for something and just let go, just be. Like that's what it was. It was just being, right? And I was like, oh, it's so fucking simple. I've just, obviously it wasn't that simple. I had to go through a lot of sadness to get there.
You worked. You did
I worked
the work.
hard.
You did the work.
And then I came back and I was like, okay, what are you guys doing? This is not what I've been feeling. Like I was kind of wanting to shake everyone and be like, wake the fuck up for a minute.
Yeah.
You're so caught up in all the bullshit. I'm right over there if you want to come join me, right? And it was like, okay, I came to this realization. I was like, oh, okay, this is my journey, and this is where I'm at, and it's not my responsibility to try and get everyone there with me, and they'll have it at their own time, of their all, whatever it is. And so I left feeling quite sad about the fact that, okay, you have to feel this alone,
But another challenge, maybe what you're saying is sort of a test to go, okay, so how committed are you to this, like not buying into the people pleasing or the being taken out. Yeah.
And so I wrote this, and as it says, which I haven't read in ages, I haven't even read it since I wrote it, but I remember that it was here. And it said, I'm on my flight back to Tokyo from Gold Coast. I'm leaving everybody again, letting them go while I search for that feeling I've always craved. The feeling I felt as a kid, the freedom, the fullness, the feeling that naturally paints a smile on my face. The feelings I can picture when I listen to certain music. I can't truly describe it to the extent I can feel it. Just know that right now, that's my meaning to life. That's my reason to keep going and feeling. I will walk through 1,000 muddy trenches to have the moment where I stand on mountaintop watching the sunrise, mesmerized by the beauty of our planet. The moment where I realize so much, where I free myself from my own limiting beliefs. That's where I want to be. That's why I'll continue moving. I'll continue growing and challenging myself. And that's why I'll leave the people that means most to me behind, and I'll one day be able to share those moments with the world.
Oh, wow, that's beautiful. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I think and we've been talking about this too, Mum, is like I came back and I forgot about that, which now I'm glad I reminded myself by reading it out. Is that you and Dad have been saying to me, like, the way you can help the people around you is by continuing doing what you're doing and what you've been doing this last year, and you need to keep being that light, and you don't need to grab anyone's hand and pull them along with you, because
that's
the power.
That's the whole and again a misconception of because that's
people miss
entrapment.
out on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think the biggest, and then like I'm realizing that now, is like the best and only way that you can truly help someone is by doing what is meant for you.
Absolutely.
Because when you're in alignment and fulfilling your purpose and happy, genuinely happy, you have the brightest vibration out of anyone. That's the beauty of how we are on this planet. We don't remember anything, you know, because when we finally tap back into source and tap back into who we really are and follow that, we're the brightest light in the sky, and everyone's attracted to it. Everyone's mossed to that, you know, light if they're ready for it. And then that, you know, in one way or another brings them to find that for themselves. And I've noticed that because I felt like the girls that I was around did that for me.
Yeah.
And now I can do that for other people, you know.
Yeah. It's funny because someone very wise said this to me just recently. You know, when someone's in the hole, you can't get in the hole with them. And that is the hardest thing of all, is because we want to get down and we want to feel miserable and horrible and, you know, desperate to help them. But you can't get in the hole with them. You've got to stand up on the edge and have a hand ready to help them out. But you cannot get in the hole with them.
Or a nice warm meal waiting for them at the table when they climb out.
Yeah, exactly.
And that doesn't mean, you know, a lot of the time when someone that we love is going through a really tough time, you know, the human self wants to get down in that mud with them to make them feel better, but that's not how it works. It's really hard.
It's really hard. I'm feeling it right now.
Yeah.
Especially when there's like fear involved, you know, for
Yeah.
people's safety and things like that, you know, because, you know, there's so many different angles and things when of someone being in a hole. And like you're saying about your beautiful Paulie, like it just takes one angel to appear to create and your group of girls to create a different energy for you to want to step into that area. And like kind of what you were sharing around the moth to a flame, it's not because you're so amazing or whatever.
No.
It's an energy pull, isn't it? That person wants to come out of the hole because I can feel something, you know, like it, and it somehow they're touched, you know, in a way.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I love
big space.
It is a very big space, and just what you said then, Amanda, is, you know, it doesn't have to be big, loud, you know, ritzy, glitzy, all of that. It can be done very quietly.
Oh yeah.
And the power in that quietness and stillness is so, it's deafening
Yeah.
in itself, you know.
Isn't that, I don't know if you guys feel the same, but for me, when I feel like I'm in a really good place in my life, well, just speaking from the last year, being in a really good, happy place, the less I've wanted to show it off.
Yeah.
Like, it's like whenever I'm not feeling good or abundant or like my life is really cool, I want to make it look cool for everyone else to see, because hopefully that'll make me feel better. You know? But as soon as I feel like my life is great and cool and adventurous and I'm proud of who I am, I don't need to tell anyone.
Yeah.
Because like all of the power and energy and love and light that I need is coming from me. And straight back into me and into the people around me, and they're giving it to me. And it's like, I don't need a bunch of other people to validate my experience right now, because I'm just feeding it to myself.
Absolutely. And I want to that just reminded me of something I wanted to talk about a little bit ago, because all the feelings and all that are wonderful, but I want to talk about this area around creativity.
They're bloody amazing, John.
Yes, they are. They're amazing. But, you know, there's lots of clogs, or is that what you call it? There's lots of cogs in the wheel, you know, and one of the biggest ones is this creativity, because we know now, it's been proven in science, that when we get creative in the essence of who we are, like your crocheting or even your reading of the book, it creates expansion in us, right, to be able to understand who we are. And it comes through being creative, because our mind is expanding. We're becoming a lot more resourceful in how we create things, like with our hands and everything.
Well, we're coming back to like what we always used to do, but it's kind of like what you were saying before around loving yourself, you know, sound so cliche or so, you know, nice. It's connecting back into that. It's like a remembering.
Yes.
And the creating something of ourselves is, again, coming back to that, what you were just sharing around, you're filling your cup, your energy is filling yourself up, like, so that it's kind of, I guess,
absolutely.
There's cogs in the same wheel.
We've lost touch with that, literally lost touch. It's like, because before, there was shops and phones and computers and all of that. We had rocks and, we had to get creative with how we drew on rock walls and stuff like that. It's like it is the remembering, but in essence, it's so powerful. That whole finding the essence of who we are, and then finding what creative genius is inside of us. The gifts that we have to give is awakening in us in those moments, and that's the true fulfillment.
Oh yeah. But I think, isn't it, and you can call me a conspiracy theorist, doesn't it make so much sense though? I mean, they want to, like, the people, dark entities of this earth, they don't want us to be connected with ourselves, and they don't want us to feel this feeling of pure light and love and creativity and self-expression in, a beautiful way. They want us to be lost and under, not connected to ourselves and asleep, and because we're so much more powerful when we are in that light, right? So they just we're giving all these things in front of us to overcomplicate us, the phones and the makeup and the, the jobs and the money and the politics and the Hollywood and all the rest. It's like all of these things to just crowd our minds.
Stimulate.
Yeah, exactly. To take away from just the simple things.
Yeah, the simple things. Yeah,
it's
that
like
you can pick up a hook and some wool.
And some wool. And just crochet yourself a hat.
Actually, you're going to have to teach me, because I used to love knitting when I was younger.
Same. Yeah. Mum used to knit all our, like, knit and crochet. So
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And there's something, for me, it was the first time that I've had something that's like
I've got photos
and you're bloody
of
good
Jaali.
at it.
Yeah.
Hats on and gloves
seriously?
on and scarves on, and
I got
she's like,
so
Mum.
addicted. I would crochet for hours and hours and hours every day. Especially because at the time I had no money and no choice, and I was living in this house, and I was like, what am I going to do with myself? Get a 90-cent thing of yarn and make a hat and stuff. But it was
you could have become a pot addict, or you could have become a drug addict, or alcoholic, or like. But that's, this is where people get caught.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
But back to my point, I'm just going to say really quickly before we move on.
I know what you're going to say.
It was it's the first time that I had made something for myself that it felt like back to days where, we have hunters and gatherers and stuff like that, and you would hunt for your food, or you would make things to protect yourself, and it was like this first time I'm like, I've learned something to make something that actually protects me, like, keeps me warm, like gloves and hats and scarves and stuff. And it's like, this is this really nice thing of like, I've actually created something that's good for me and helps me and is a skill. This is a skill.
Yeah.
Self-sufficient.
Like an actually really cool skill. That's great.
Absolutely.
And I've never had one of those before.
It was so beautiful. She would send me photos. She would send me photos of everything
You've got lots of skills.
And how much joy that she had, that she'd made all of this for her, and that it was going to keep her warm. I remember that balaclava thing that you made.
God.
I've never laughed so much in my whole life.
See, there was a couple
practical.
mess ups. There was a couple mess ups. I made a balaclava for the snow. I wanted to make one that was really cool and stylish, but I knitted. It
looked like a
crocheted
condom.
a couple. It looked like a condom. It had like a pointy, like kind of extra bit of material on the top.
Yeah.
So it wasn't rounded over my head. It like stuck up. Almost like a gnome or like a
pixie.
house elf or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or a pixie. Which was funny because I spent so many goddamn hours in
Yeah,
that thing
you
and
did.
finally put it on and went, oh!
It's not quite
so
working.
annoying. I'm not undoing the whole thing. I actually brought it back. It's still here.
No, that's what you should
Excellent.
keep that, because that
it's a good
would hold
reminder.
so many stories.
Oh, yeah.
It's so beautiful.
It was it was like meditation for me as well, because obviously when you're crocheting, for me when I was learning anyways, you have to watch every loop you do. You can't just like look away. You have to watch every loop because you can't skip a loop, otherwise you mess up your entire project.
Yeah.
And so it was just like this peaceful meditation of hours of just me loop, loop. I'd listen to music and like I'd think about things, listen to podcasts. And it was the most peaceful time ever.
Wow.
Ever. Because it was like, I find it really hard to meditate sometimes. But this distracted my hands for long enough that I could like in my head be like, okay, loop, until that word loop, and that went away and it was just silence.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I'd had that in such a long time.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
And so obviously it was the perfect hobby for me to pick up because I needed that at that time.
Yeah.
Well, it's a nice balance too, because you're creating something, but you're also in that space of peacefulness.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's satisfying to see what you're creating, but your mind is in those waves of whatever waves they might be, of just being in a rhythm as well, which we do find it very hard to be in a space where our mind is in a beautiful flow as opposed to, you know, an erratic, you know,
robotic state. Yeah.
And I don't want to go into it too much, but Beyonce is making it very, you know, vogue to be wearing homemade things again, because she did a speech recently at some award night around her mother designed her dress and her mum used to make all their clothes and this and that when they were growing up and all those kind of things. And reading through the comments, which is always really beautiful, so many people were just like, my mum this, my mum that, and I was just like remembering all my little crocheted dresses that mum used to make and the sewing and things like that. And so I mean it's a maybe a revival, I think, that's coming through, and you have to love people standing up and making very public something like this to tap back into when you have, on the wasteful side of things, or the systems, you know, these big companies that are producing thousands of garments a day that just go to landfill. So there's a lot of remembering going on, I think, in a lot of the spaces, which is my point for bringing it up. You know?
Crochet. I think I didn't think crochet was a thing. Like I thought that's what, you know, nuns
It's
do.
on TikTok.
There's actually it's on TikTok. Very true. There's actually a really big crochet and knitting community, and it's a big thing, and it's also becoming like trendy. Which is like people are making really cool crochet things and selling them. Because obviously small businesses are becoming more and more prominent in today's society, because we are waking up to the fact that we have way too many things, and like let's bring it back to small creativity and small businesses and support small, which I think is really lifted off since COVID especially. But how cool is that though?
It is.
As soon as my eyes opened to that, I was like, there's a whole other world out there.
And things mean more too, like, you know, you're wearing that beanie, or you're wearing something that you've made, or a friend of yours made, or the person with the business down the road has made, and it means more to you. And it's again, it's the energy, isn't it, of connection.
It is.
And
I actually made a hat, and I met this guy when I was in Japan this last season, so like literally a couple months ago, and we just got on so well, and he was such a beautiful guy. And I was showing him my like crochet stuff one time, and he was like, this is so cool. And I had like, he was so impressed. And there was one hat that like I never wore because it wasn't for me, and he tried it on and he loved it, and I was like, why don't you just have it? And he was like, it was the first time I'd ever given like one of my pieces to someone. And he was like, what? No, I can't have it, you spent hours in this. And I was like, no, I never wear it, I'd love for you to have it. And then so he was only just visiting Japan, so he went back home, and I see on his Instagram stories all the time him wearing a hat.
Well, that's the whole thing.
Me so happy.
But
I'm
look
like,
at that.
oh my god, I'm probably never going to see him again, but he's just taken
part of
piece
you.
me with him, and it's so beautiful.
But he's taken that piece of your energy with him into his world, and then when he wears that, he thinks of you. Like, there's so much depth in the handmade, hand created, whatever. You know, products that we get. Something that's made by somebody else just has. I know I've got a lot of pottery. And some of it I don't even know who's made it, but I know somebody has, because I can feel it.
A cupboard of the kids' pottery that they made when they were little, and I just can't part with it. I use it for toothpaste dishes. I use it for all kinds of stuff.
I'd be highly offended if you got rid of the things I bought from Hendy.
I still, you know those cups that we made, like that we painted years and years ago. I still got those. The twins drink. We have tea out of them.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
It's very beautiful.
They do give a lot.
We have gone really quickly. We've moved along really quickly. I wanted to ask a couple of questions.
Oh, go for it. No, you go, and I will.
Yep.
I've got some too.
I just wanted to know, like where you are at now, Giles, and you know you've talked a lot about what you've learned.
All right, so before you do that,
Yeah.
my one goes
Yes.
back to like the daily grind. So coming into this space of yourself
Yeah.
and self-love. So how did that reflect, like, because you're working there and, you know, it's a big part of your life because it enables you to be there and have the adventure as well. How did that reflect out into your working space and because that was
Great question. Big things happened.
Really well, actually. Yeah. I think, and self-work was a challenge, actually. There was a lot that I had to, that almost the universe was testing me on holding to myself. But I went from like working for this restaurant that ended up expanding and turned from like a 25-seater restaurant to a 150-seater restaurant. Yeah, slightly. Very proud of the two guys that were running it. They're awesome, two young Australian guys who were just absolutely killing it and doing really cool stuff. But I ended up being their restaurant, like their bar manager and supervisor, and then I managed their other bar downstairs called Holy Smokes. And
big responsibility
for a 20-year-old at the time, but also a really beautiful blessing and reflection back to me of like, oh, I'm capable of a lot. It doesn't matter about my age. And it was nice to see that come from other people, you know, because I think they probably had their doubts. Oh my God, this 20-year-old's going to be doing this. But I think they also forgot about my age and other, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an interesting challenge because I think for me going into that environment being that position, more so being a 20-year-old woman, bossing around a bunch of people that were older than me that I also was living with and wanted, like, because it's such a unique situation doing seasons. You've got people coming over for 4 months. You're all living together. You're all working, you know, 40 to 50 hour weeks together, and you're hanging out and partying with each other every other moment you have. You're like, so it was hard for me to be their supervisor as well as be their really good friend because I was fighting that urge to want everyone to like me like I used to.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to be a dick to them at work, which obviously I would never be. But you feel like people are going to hate you for telling them things.
Well, it's a fine line between people taking advantage of you, but you holding enough space that they don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I came to this kind of point where I was like, okay, looking back at the places I've worked and people that have been in my position in my last jobs, what have I wanted from them? And it's like, okay, I wanted support. I wanted understanding. I wanted them to, if I was doing something wrong, to come to me and help me do better, not make me feel like shit about myself or that I was wrong. And more so I wanted to feel like they had my back, you know, in whatever. And so I was like, okay, well, that's the person I'm going to be. And so I was, I think I did good at that. I mean, like, I tried to just support everybody and be there for them and not, you know, like I had to understand at the end of the day that these people are working 50-hour weeks and they're tired and they're not going to be on their best all the time and they're getting paid nothing and they're here for a good time and just like I was the season before and just like I have been. And it was actually, I think I think I could have taken, in reflection, I could have taken a bit more responsibility probably. Yeah.
There's always room for that, I think.
There's always room for that.
And I think in a service industry, it's, you know, like it's another, you literally are people pleasing, but but it's not people pleasing. It's like you're providing a service that make people happy and feel welcome. Yeah. And it's just that, and your team is a part of that, a big part of that, isn't it? Driving
100%. And I think I'm glad I was hesitant about taking the role, but I didn't think at the time there was really anyone else because I was the only returning staff member from the year before. So I was the only one that actually knew really anything about our systems. So I was like, I think I'll be helping them out by doing this. And I think it's a good opportunity for me to take a step up in, you know, my life. And just take a bit of responsibility since for the last, you know, time over summer, I've been just absolutely breezing past life. I was like, let's have a little bit of order. And it was a huge test of me staying strong in myself and reminding of my self-worth and sticking my ground, because there's so many tests in that. Like one being one of the youngest people there, but being one of the highest in, you know,
The leader.
the leader.
Yeah.
But then also trying not to dive back into partying and, you know, validation from boys and dating and sleeping around, instead of sticking to my ground and holding that responsibility. And
that's a tough gig. That's a tough pull, and that's a tricky space to be in. And and you know, acknowledgement to you for choosing that.
Being able to say no.
Being able to say
and
no.
say yes and say no.
Because that's huge.
And honestly, I feel like I killed it.
Yeah.
Most of it, like I was like coming out of it, I'm really proud of myself by how I handle all of that, because I definitely slipped up a couple times, and there was times I wasn't totally true to myself.
Yeah.
And there was times I probably didn't do exactly the right thing. But at the end, I feel like I was gracious on myself and I was gracious on the people around me. And I had such a great time while also learning a bunch of things and taking a lot of responsibility and having a lot of time for self-reflection and not beating myself up about all the things that I did wrong or making anyone else feel shit about the things that they did wrong. And like, it was so nice to have that, because it was like this one big breath in, breath out. Oh my God, I've closed that chapter. I've come to the end of this. That's what it felt like when I was leaving Japan. I was like, I came here to learn more about myself, and I came here to have a journey, and I didn't know what it would be. I mean, when I left, I thought it's all going to be fun and games and this really great time, and it was. It took me a while to, you know, get to that point of it, but I had come out of that like a completely different person.
I feel like just a sense of expansion, like into, you know, your energy field, like filling out. It was like I went in and I went really deep down, and it showed me the depths of what I hadn't, you know,
or the darkness
that I hadn't come to terms with in myself, and all the things that I thought I had healed and, you know, awoken, and I hadn't. They were still down there. Showed me that last little bit of shit. It's like, let's deal with that before you can lift off and start flying away to different countries. And, you know, then I did the work, came out, played, adventured, you know, had peace, found myself again, explored more areas of me and how I can be me and how I can express myself. And the last part was like, okay, let's take all of that, put a bit of responsibility on top of it, put a bit of self-reflection, put a bit of like still helping others while staying true to yourself, and see if you can make that happen. And it was like, great. Okay, great, doing it. Oh, slip back, doing it. And then I was like, okay, good, I can do this. You know, like I have actually found that part of myself. And now, to answer your question from before, I feel like I've come back, and it feels like almost a big kick in the gut, because I now am being faced with all of these things I used to entrap myself in, especially being back on the Gold Coast. God, every day I wake up here, I want to run away.
We are amazing. We have blue skies and beaches and a big pile of shit.
It's a great way to go to the next, I don't want to say level, but it's a great way to step up to the next challenge.
Oh, it's such a test. It's testing me so much every day. This place is absolutely stunning, don't get me wrong, but there is so many entities and energy fields hovering over it that used to take me out, and I used to be a part of, and I didn't even know I was a part of it until I stepped out of it and looked back and went, oh, okay, I was a part of all of that, and no wonder I fucking love running around with everyone, because I couldn't see that I was so stuck in it. And now that I've come back and gone, I'm seeing a lot of things I don't want to be a part of, because I've seen all the things I do now. I've seen all the ways that actually make me feel really great about myself. And, you know, mum and dad always say to me, now that I've got this bug of, you know, wanting to travel and, you know, meet people, they're like, hey, that's great, but wherever you go, there you are. You know, like, you got to remember, you can run far and wide, but all your issues are still going to be there. And they're just going to manifest in different ways, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And so now it's like, I feel like I'm back here, and I've got to remember everything I've learned and stay true to myself and implement that in a place that brings up every single one of my insecurities and every single one of the things that, you know, built that darkness inside of me for my, you know, in my very adolescent years. And I think I'm going to make it through fine. I feel like there's a lot of me that is ready for it. Yeah. But a lot of me that might be avoiding it too. Like I've been reading and I'm absolutely loving my book and I can't get enough of it. But now I'm thinking, did I pick up this book because I don't want to, you know, read my own life right now? I want to have a narrative that's outside of my narrative.
And the book is complete fantasy.
Oh yeah, it's all about dragons and power and magic, which by the way is awesome.
Yes.
And something that it's funny because I woke up this morning to you and instantly had the book relaying in my head. Like I can't actually, I don't think anyone understands how much I've been reading this book. Like
I do.
Yeah, well you do. Yeah. Every part of my brain is like an inner dialogue. I feel like someone's reading my life out to me at the moment because of how much I'm reading.
Yeah.
But it's really beautiful because I feel like every time I step away from the book, I'm seeing things a lot more vivid.
Yeah.
Oh.
Almost like I'm on psychedelics.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm not sure if you guys have done mushrooms or acid or anything before.
Not gonna tell you.
Yeah. You don't have to tell me.
Just kidding.
Joe's
told a lot.
I've never done anything like that.
Oh, you're so my mother.
Yes.
But I feel like whenever I'm on mushrooms or something like that, which is not often, by the way, I'm not like I'm doing mushrooms all the time, but whenever I have had an experience and a journey, I feel like I see everything more vividly, more for what it is than what it was before.
Yeah.
And that's how it's been feeling every time I lift up and look at my book. I'm like, whoa, oh my God, I've been in a whole other world and now I'm looking at my world and it feels so vivid. And it's back to the creative thing, you know, like it's expanding my mind.
Yeah.
And as soon as I step away from it, everything does feel expanded and it's,
And that's what you want. That's what you want from a good book too. You want things to not, you know, you want to be able to walk away from an amazing fantasy book that maybe is true. In another dimension somewhere. Absolutely.
I hope so. I want to find my dragon.
Yeah. And, you know, when we step away from that book, we see the world differently. I know I did that with Anethea.
Yeah, Anethea was fabulous.
I told Jaali about Anethea. Yeah.
Find that book.
So it's like you want a good book to have that effect on you.
I can remember being in Bali one time and they had a library at the place you could borrow a book, and there was a book by Paul Coelho and somebody else, a lady, and I picked up the book and it was like a shaman's journey, witchy kind of book. It was fabulous, and I picked it up in the afternoon and I didn't stop reading it till like midday the next day. I literally stayed awake all night in my little, and it was the most wonderful. It was like you're sharing. It was like going on in a journey and an experience. And when I've put it down, I was thinking around myself in quite a different way, and my own magic and things like that, and creativity and things. And I feel like that's, you know, where books have that energy field where they do take us somewhere, you know, like, and when you connect with something, and, you know, we can do audio and tablets and things like that, and it's perfect, but a book just has a different energy.
There's something
about
to it, isn't it? And you're like, it's funny, we were in the bookstore or something the other day, and I was looking at the books going, holy shit, every single one of these has a whole other world in it. Like there is a world inside of these pages that you can only explore once you read it. And also, it's a world of someone else's imagination. Like, this is all something that someone's wrote. Yeah. Someone's pulled it from their brain and put it on pages for us to dive into this whole other world. It just comes back to how powerful we are.
Yes.
The fact I'm reading all of this stuff and I'm like, oh my God, I'm picturing this. I'm in transmute to a whole other world.
Yeah.
And this is just someone's imagination.
And the way that you view it can be completely different from the next person that reads the same book, which is so amazing.
It's all incredible. We could talk about that for so much time.
And I think it's the power of staying in your own lane. Like when you're saying around, you step out of that book and you step out of the house and then out into the street here now. And there's, for me, the Gold Coast has always been one of those places where you have to choose the lane that you, or the layer that you, or the stream, or whatever it is that you run in. And that's that phrase, stay in your own lane, has just been so epic the last few years. Yeah. Thank you, Jodie, for showering that on us. But, you know, I think hearing you say around when you come home and how you see all the different kaleidoscope of what's possible here and the entities and the this and that, that's anywhere in the world, isn't it? But because this is our hometown and this is where we've got so many experiences and timelines running of, you know, what our life's been about. It's like, okay, so what threads are we going to continue weaving, and what threads or crocheting, and what threads are we not?
That's so true.
Yeah. So, yeah, very powerful time for you now to be just like feeling that you're ready to come home for a while and see what that brings.
Yeah. I mean, ready is a strong statement. I'm probably ready.
Content.
I'm feeling like it's the right thing to do, and but it scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
It actually terrifies me, and I didn't think coming home would be so terrifying.
Which is a great place to be.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it means I'm growing in another way.
Yeah.
And I'm ready for it. I am ready to go to another level and explore another side of myself and find another thing that I obviously haven't fully worked through.
Or is yet to come.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or maybe we can go through another year of just pure joy and bliss. Wouldn't that be lovely? But I don't think.
And maybe the Gold Coast needs you.
Maybe.
That's another part of what I think is happening too, because I feel like there's probably a lot of people, and particularly not wanting to be ageist, but in your age group too, that are just like, what is here for me, but yet don't see a way of leaving or an opportunity for leaving or want to leave, but you're just kicking a can around the street, more or less, time passing by, on repeat. So I think there's a calling, that applies to a lot of our different age groups, but in particular, I think the Gold Coast has just got such an incredible youth here, with so many talent, skills, so much beauty. Yeah. But it's just not kind of really seen, is it?
No.
Or alive.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
Absolutely.
Just getting caught up in other stuff.
Yeah.
Really. But you're right. You are right. And I think I've just got to keep reminding myself that if I am just keep being true to who I am and putting out my energy, then I'm going to attract the people that, continue to reflect that for me.
Absolutely.
Instead of drag me into other stuff.
Your vibe attracts your tribe.
Damn right it does, Jojo. That's my favourite statement. I remember saying to someone and they went, "That's a bit weird," and I went, "Well, you're not a part of my tribe then." Clearly.
And you're reading the word vibe totally wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And the word tribe.
Yes, exactly. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, my beautiful Jaali.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Being so honest and raw and just sharing all your beauty.
Really powerful.
Well, it was lovely to talk about it. And thank you, because you guys have given me a big amount of self-reflection now to walk back and go, oh, okay, so that's what that all was.
You're welcome.
Love
Bye.
you.
Bye. Thank you.
She comes in my dreams.
Thank you for listening to our Girl Awakening podcast. We are also on YouTube as Girl Awakening. We'd love to see you there with comments on how our guests resonated with you or your own awakening. Please share the love with a like and subscribe while you're there. A blissful thank you to Ksenia Luki, the amazing artist behind our theme song. We will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.